When people talk about modern indie games, they usually praise creativity and unusual ideas. But if you look back at the original PlayStation, developers were already experimenting with bold mechanics, strange concepts, and unique art styles. Many of those games were forgotten over time, but some of them still feel surprisingly fresh today. So here are 10 PS1 gems that might actually feel better than some modern indie titles. And stay until the end, because the final game is a PlayStation classic that completely changed the direction of its franchise. Peter Pan and Disney's Return to Neverland is one of those PlayStation games that looks simple at first, but ends up being surprisingly fun to play. The game is based on the animated movie sequel, and it follows Wendy's daughter Jane as she gets pulled into a new adventure in Neverland. Gameplay is built around classic platforming, but what makes it interesting is the amount of variety packed into each level. You jump across pirate ships, explore jungle areas, collect pixie dust, and occasionally take to the skies with Peter Pan himself. Flying sections add a nice change of pace and make the game feel more dynamic than a standard platformer. The art style is colorful and very faithful to the Disney look, which helps the game age better than many other licensed titles from the same era. It is not the most difficult game on the system, but its charm, smooth level design, and lighthearted tone make it an enjoyable PlayStation adventure that still holds up surprisingly well. Donald Duck Goin' Quackers is one of those platformers that many players completely missed, even though it is actually a really solid game. It follows Donald as he travels through different cartoon-themed worlds trying to rescue Daisy after she gets kidnapped during a television broadcast. The gameplay feels very similar to classic character platformers like Crash Bandicoot. Some levels are side-scrolling, others move toward or away from the camera, and a few stages even throw in chase sequences that keep things exciting. Donald himself has a surprisingly fun moveset. He can jump, attack enemies, use a hammer spin, and interact with different objects throughout the levels. The controls feel responsive, which is important for a game that relies on precise jumping and quick reactions. Visually, the game really stands out. The environments are bright, exaggerated, and full of personality, just like a classic cartoon. One is a game that feels like it was made years before its time. Instead of playing like a traditional action game, it moves incredibly fast and throws you into constant chaos. You play as John Kane, a cyborg with a powerful arm cannon, trying to survive waves of enemies while uncovering the mystery behind his transformation. The story itself is simple, but the gameplay is where things get interesting. The game mixes third-person shooting with intense arcade-style pacing. Enemies appear everywhere, explosions fill the screen, and your character can jump, flip, and fire in every direction. It almost feels like a playable action movie. What makes one stand out even more is its visual style. The game uses a comic book-inspired presentation, with dramatic camera angles and exaggerated action that gives everything a unique energy. It is short, loud, and chaotic, but that is exactly what makes it memorable. In many ways, one feels like the kind of experimental action game that would probably be called an indie hit today. Disney's The Emperor's New Groove is one of the most underrated licensed games on the PlayStation. Instead of being a rushed movie tie-in, it actually feels like a well-designed adventure platformer. The game loosely follows the story of the movie, with Cusco being turned into a llama and trying to regain his throne. But the levels expand far beyond the film, adding new areas and challenges that keep things interesting. Gameplay mixes platforming, puzzle solving, and exploration. You will climb through jungle temples, sneak past guards, jump across traps, and collect different items along the way. What really helps the game stand out is its sense of humor. The animations and sound effects capture the goofy personality of the movie perfectly. Cusco constantly reacts to what is happening around him, which adds a lot of charm to the experience. Medieval 2 continues the strange and charming story of Sir Daniel Fortesque, the skeletal knight who somehow became one of the most recognizable PlayStation characters of the late 1990s. This time, the adventure moves from medieval settings to a creepy Victorian version of London. The change in location gives the game a very different atmosphere, mixing gothic horror with dark comedy. Gameplay focuses on exploration and combat. Dan can collect different weapons, from swords and hammers to more unusual tools that help solve puzzles or defeat enemies in creative ways. The level design is full of personality. Haunted museums, underground labs, and foggy city streets all give the game a distinct mood that feels both spooky and playful at the same time. Medieval 2 improves many of the mechanics from the first game, making combat smoother and puzzles more interesting. Even today, the game stands out because of its unique tone. It feels like a weird mix of horror, comedy, and adventure that few modern games attempt. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is one of those PlayStation games that tried something different instead of simply copying a popular formula. Instead of being a platformer, the game focuses on action missions across different planets. You play as Buzz Lightyear working for Star Command, taking on various missions to stop the forces of Emperor Zurg. Each level sends you into different environments where you fight robots, rescue allies, and complete objectives. The gameplay blends shooting, exploration, and light puzzle solving. Buzz uses his laser to defeat enemies, activate switches, and interact with the environment. The levels are fairly large for a PlayStation game, which encourages a bit of exploration instead of just running straight to the finish line. Looney Tunes Sheep Raider might be one of the most creative games on this list. Instead of focusing on action or platforming, the entire game revolves around stealth and puzzle solving. You play as Ralph Wolf, whose only mission in life is to steal sheep from Sam Sheepdog. Each level is basically a giant puzzle where you need to sneak past Sam without getting caught. To do that, you use all kinds of ridiculous gadgets straight out of classic Looney Tunes cartoons. You can disguise yourself, create distractions, set traps, and even manipulate the environment to outsmart the dog. The real charm of the game comes from how it captures the humor of the cartoons. When Sam catches you, he does not attack immediately. Instead, he calmly walks over and punches you off the screen, just like in the animated shorts. Wipeout 3 represents the futuristic racing side of the PlayStation era, and even today it still feels incredibly stylish. The game takes place in anti-gravity racing leagues where sleek hovercraft fly across tracks at insane speeds. Instead of traditional racing circuits, the tracks twist through futuristic cities, industrial zones, and massive structures. What makes Wipeout 3 stand out is its sense of speed and precision. Controlling the ships requires quick reactions and smooth steering, especially at higher difficulty levels where everything moves incredibly fast. The visual design also deserves a lot of credit. The clean, futuristic look, combined with sharp track layouts and glowing effects, creates a style that still feels cool decades later. Electronic music perfectly matches the fast-paced racing and gives the whole game an energetic atmosphere. For many players, Wipeout 3 is still one of the most stylish racing games ever made. Pandemonium 2 is a platformer that immediately stands out because of its visual style. Instead of using simple backgrounds, the game builds large 3D environments while keeping the gameplay on a fixed path. You play as either Nikki or Fargus, two characters trying to stop a dangerous magical artifact from causing chaos. Each character has slightly different abilities, which adds variety to the gameplay. The levels are colorful, strange, and sometimes completely surreal. You run across giant mechanical structures, floating platforms, and bizarre fantasy landscapes that feel almost dreamlike. Gameplay focuses on jumping, avoiding traps, and collecting items scattered throughout the levels. Some stages also introduce small puzzles or unique mechanics that keep the pacing fresh. Mega Man Legends was a huge departure from the traditional Mega Man formula. Instead of side-scrolling action, the game transforms the series into a fully 3D adventure. You play as Mega Man Walnut, an explorer known as a digger who searches ancient ruins for valuable technology called refractors. The story takes place on a flooded world where most civilization exists on scattered islands. The game mixes exploration, combat, and light role-playing elements. You explore ruins filled with robotic enemies, collect upgrades, and slowly uncover the mysteries of the world. What really makes Mega Man Legends special is its atmosphere. The town feels alive, the characters have personality, and the story unfolds in a relaxed way that encourages exploration. It also introduced a very different visual style for the series, with bright anime-inspired characters and expressive animations. Even today, many fans consider Mega Man Legends one of the most unique entries in the entire franchise. The PS1 era was full of weird ideas, experimental gameplay, and hidden gems that many players completely missed. If you enjoyed this list, let me know in the comments which PS1 games you think still feel fresh today. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos.